But let's start with you.
First of all, in terms of this European Super League nonsense, if you look at the trajectory of football over the past 3 decades, this is not a surprise. You know, we had the Bosman ruling, freedom of contract. Good players could then move to the bigger clubs, mainly in the bigger leagues. Then we had all the TV money, which obviously went to the bigger leagues. That's where the market was. Then UEFA changed their competitions so that the European Cup for winners became the Champions League, where teams that were 4th and 5th off the pace, you know, managed to get into the Premier competition. All the power and money went to a small number of powerful clubs in an even smaller number of very powerful leagues. So this European Super League proposal for a closed shop was not a surprise. What has been good is the backlash, and not just from the fans of the clubs involved, because what these proposals do, they take teams with huge European pedigrees, you know, Benfica, Feyenoord, Ajax, Celtic, they carve them out. They take English clubs with incredible European pedigrees. Your team, Ian, who won the Cup Winners' Cup in '65, West Ham United.
I'm impressed.
That's okay. Ipswich Town that won the UEFA Cup, Nottingham Forest. Even if all of those English clubs managed to get back to their old glories, they could never pit themselves against this closed league club. That's not sport. Now, the prescription as to what UEFA does, what the local federations do, all I would say is, I hope they don't roll over and give these greedy clubs any more money.
Well done, well saved.
Any more power. I hope they try and return equity to football so all the clubs from all the leagues can actually play in proper, respected, decent competitions. And to answer the 2 questions directly, it is going to have an impact on kids. You know, what's the appeal if it's going to cost you $2,000 if you were, say, an Arsenal fan to travel to your away match at Juventus? No kid's ever going to go and be able to see that. That's never going to happen. And as for whether the government right to intervene, yes, there were, except if it can be political for just a minute. 5 days of rioting in Northern Ireland, Boris Johnson said nothing. 24 hours of football, and he's all over the telly. So they were right to intervene, but, you know, there are other priorities for the Prime Minister as well.
Layla, are you a football fan?
So I have a confession to make, which is that I am not, but I live in a house with an ardent Chelsea fan who has been schooling me on how appalling this has been over the last few days. And I do sit there while we watch as Chelsea and West Ham and Leicester City scrap it out for that top 4 place, which I'm assured is the thing to get.
Don't forget Liverpool.
And Liverpool indeed. But the point is, you know, this is greed that takes away that excitement. Okay, or not one that I personally have, but for all those fans who are hoping that 1 year that their team will just about make it, that unpredictability of football, the way that we see in the FA Cup, you have the teams that came from nowhere to go to glory, that would have been gone because everyone else would have been excluded. And I think what it's speaking to is a general trend, as Stewart was saying, of the more money that has poured into football, the more remote it has seemed from fans. I think this review by Tracy Crouch, who I really rate actually as an MP, and I've worked with her on other things, including the Vagrancy Act and homelessness in the past, and I do trust her to look at this from the point of view of fans, because she is a massive football fan in of her own right. I think actually we should look at that review very carefully. I hope that she's given complete free rein to do what she needs to do. And I'm really attracted by the idea of putting the fans in charge. In Germany, they've got a 50+1 rule, which means sort of majority rule of the fans. I actually think we should be bringing in legislation so that if you are going to join in new super leagues, actually ticket holders should be balloted, for example. Let's put the fans in the driving seat.
Well, just on that, Tracy Crouch has actually been conversing with a German football journalist on that subject today in German. I know that because she messaged me to say, have I got the German right on this? Liam Fox, are you a football fan?
Well, on and off. And I think that I've become a bit more disillusioned with football in recent years, where it's become not the route to opportunity that it was traditionally, or has been traditionally in Britain, for people in a locality joining their local team and then working their way up. What we've recently had are a series of brands where people have been bought in internationally, often with no links to the local community at all, and dependent on the money brought into the club. Now, that's how a market works. I don't think since Gerald Ratner anyone has misunderstood their market as much as those who made the proposals this particular week. And I think that for me, the key thing about it, and I'm a free marketeer. My view is that these are private businesses, let them do what they want. But the real sin was the anti-competitive nature of it. Not in any other area of sport would we accept that people would get the position that they have today and hold that in perpetuity, irrespective of their actual performance. I mean, we've got Wimbledon coming up. What if we saw, the top 10 Wimbledon players decided that they were going to set up their own tournament, it would be a closed shop and no one would get in and no one would have to leave however bad they got. I mean, you would think that was utterly absurd. It is much the same as what was going to happen here. And one of the great things about sport, about everything, is the element of competition, that teams have to perform well or they'll be relegated, and teams have the great opportunity to be promoted if they also do well. If you take that out of sport and you take that interaction going up and down the ladder, you've lost one of the very basic attractions to sport itself.
Jeremy Corbyn, I know you're a devout Arsenal fan. I can imagine yesterday or the day before, steam was coming out of your ears.
Absolutely furious. I live just near the Arsenal Stadium, and two of my sons are Arsenal season ticket holders. One of my sons runs a football club. So, football is around quite a lot. And people around here were just very, very angry about it. They feel that their club has become very corporate anyway, although it does have a very good community programme, and I applaud that part of their work. But this European Super League, whilst it has been knocked on the head pretty firmly over the last couple of days, it's a process that's going to come back and back and back, because the biggest, wealthiest clubs will always want to protect themselves and their market being television sales, kit sales, and all the rest of it. This ESL was a completely crazy idea. Who on earth would want to watch 12 teams playing each other? It really doesn't matter who wins or who doesn't win or what they do. It'll be about as exciting as pre-season friendlies. So it's been knocked on the head. But we have to go a lot further. The German model of 50+1 is a good one, but that is under threat in Germany, where a lot of the big money in Germany wants to defeat the 50+1 and get control of the clubs. Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund and others are under pressure to change. And so I do think we have to take it a stage further and bring in real democracy in football, which is what I put forward in our manifesto, which was a subvention on Premier League clubs much bigger than there is at the moment, to fund local soccer, to fund Leagues 1 and 2, and to basically encourage football. Because young people, boys and girls playing football, they're fit, they enjoy it, they learn something about themselves, and they learn something about teamwork. It's actually quite an important part of growing up. But if the only message in football is money at the top, which will damage the rest of football, is not good. Now, I support also, a team that gives me a lot of love and pain is Forest Green Rovers, because they are on the cusp of, first of all, direct promotion, and now they're fighting to keep in the playoff zone. Well, that's good. That's exciting. That's fun. That's what football ought to be about. And I think fan power over the past few days has been really good. But let's follow it up. Reduce the ticket prices, democratise the clubs, put the money where it needs to go into grassroots sport and football, not asset stripping of local clubs and selling off of their fields.
Well, I think maybe one of the positives that has come out of the last 48 hours is that it's not just fans, but I think players were crucial in this, and they made it clear to their football club chairman and managing directors that up with this they would not put. So some good may have come out of it.